Welcome back to Flip That Script. I'm Holly,
And I'm Dana.
and in this episode, we're asking a simple question. What hides behind the mask? Is it protection, pretending, or the things you swore you'd never become? The mask can be safety or a prison. It can silence the scream, or it can be the scream. Michael Myers, the empty stare, the hollow vessel. Leatherface, lost in a family's madness, wearing borrowed skin just to feel belonging. And Frankenstein's monster, stitched from rejection, abandonment, before he could learn his own name. Each one searching for identity in the ruins of what made them. Each one a reflection of parts of us that ache to be seen, even in their ugliness, because we all wear masks. The smiles we force, the calm we fake, the version of ourselves that's safe enough for others to love. But what happens when the mask begins to crack? When the monster underneath isn't evil, just tired of being ignored? Tonight, we strip away the disguises. We face the stitches, the scars, the silent parts of the psyche. And we learn that healing doesn't come from destroying the monster, but from looking in the eyes and saying, I see you. Welcome to Monsters in the Mind, Episode 2, The Mask and the Monster.
This is really my favorite time of year.
I know.
All of the spookiness. It's, and I just watched Frankenstein and my favorite Frankenstein. It's in, what's the name of that movie? Monster Squad. Him being friends with the little girl. He finally, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And it shows who he is. I like. But Michael Myers
Yeah.
is like the main scary guy here, in my opinion.
I think so too. I mean, I think that we all have monsters living in our minds, not the ones, hiding in closets or creeping in the dark, but the quiet ones that whispers when it's too still,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones that are built out of memory and out of words other people threw at us. And it's funny, we spend years circling things around in our mind and our subconscious picks up these patterns. I think Michael Myers definitely is the most scariest one here.
And I think he's
And
scary
really,
because you don't know what he has no emotion. It's
right.
You can't, it's the emotionlessness of it all. That's what makes him scary. And I don't know, do you think that it's scary because we're afraid to show our emotions, or afraid that we don't have any, or afraid that we have too many? What do you think makes that scary?
I think it depends on the person. I really think it depends on the person. I mean, in general, women are told that they have too many emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Men are told to have none.
Right.
Michael
And
says nothing. He's pure regression. He's every emotion you've ever shoved down until it turned into numbness. And he's what happens when rage calcifies from shoving down so many emotions. Like when I see Michael Myers, I mean, I know he's supposed to be a villain, but I see a metaphor for unprocessed pain. that
Yes.
mask, the white, expressionless face.
He's he's like the ghost of emotional neglect.
Yes, complete emotional shutdown, that dead stare when they've when people have just learned it's safer not to feel. And his
Yeah.
walk, right? His walk.
Yeah, he
Slow,
just walks.
steady, relentless. That's like a
Reminds me of
subconscious mask.
Jason. Reminds me a lot
Yeah.
of Jason from the last episode, you know? But their stories are different. Jason was loved,
Yes.
and Michael, he was neglected.
Right.
He only mimicked emotion because no one ever modeled it for him. He didn't have anything to base that off of, so he just, this is what I'm supposed to look like, so I'm going to look like this until he was 6 and he picked up that knife.
Yeah.
And that's, you know,
And he always returns to Haydenville every Halloween, same town, same path, same obsession. That's trauma. That's what trauma does. It loops. It
and
brings
it
you back
always
to the
brings you back.
scene. Yeah, to the scene of the pain until you face it consciously. And that's why we see patterns in our own life.
Hmm.
It's going to circle us back until we allow the conscious mind to process it.
And but it's almost like he doesn't really have anger.
No, he's like
It's not
empty.
anger. It's just he's empty, and it's like a subconscious attempt to just feel something. He wants to feel something, anything.
Right.
But the
He
more
doesn't
he seeks that
scream.
sensation, the less he has, and the less real he becomes
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah, because he doesn't scream. He doesn't monologue. He just keeps coming. It has no language, only impulse, right? He just acts. And that's what unprocessed trauma does. It acts out instead of expressing. Now, in hypnotherapy, of course, we try to give the silence words because as long as the pain stays mute, it keeps manifesting through behavior and through tension and through symptoms. But once you speak it, you release it, you see it, you name it, you call it out, you allow it to be in the body fully, and then release it. That's when we start the healing.
Hmm. Now his mask, he always wears a mask. And I think that mask isn't really there to hide who he is because there's nothing really to hide. Um,
Right.
it's, and I mean, if the mask ever came off, there really still wouldn't be anything there anymore. He's not human anymore. He's not, it's like he doesn't know who he is. He's numb. He's disconnected.
Yeah. Very disconnected. I sometimes imagine sitting across from Michael Myers in a session and say, "Tell me what you couldn't say when you were 6."
Right.
Because, remember in the story, he kills his sister as a child. And that's the wounded inner boy that never got to grow, who just froze in that single moment of trauma and has stayed there for decades and decades, right? He's the child frozen in shock, forced to wear adulthood like a mask. And when you live with that much repression, your nervous system forgets what aliveness feels like. You become functional in a sense, right? You're living, breathing human, but completely detached, but you're not free. And that's the real horror. It's not the knife, it's the numbness. But they never really put a highlight on his parents.
No.
They really didn't. And I mean,
Okay, this is where I get confused because he didn't have a younger sister in the original film. They added her later to continue the story.
progress the
So,
story. Yeah.
so I was
So
thinking,
he
well, the
killed his
sister
older
lived, so it
sister.
must have been the parents. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So he
my
killed the older
conclusion.
sister, Judith, and then I knew there was a whole backstory behind the other sister. I couldn't remember if she was younger or older or what happened, but we know there was another sister because he chases her every Halloween. Still even today, I believe.
Yeah,
Because he
it's his
never
younger
he never
sister.
dies. He never goes away.
Mm-mm. Did you watch the last one, the most recent, when
Which one was it?
they fought back and they had him in the street and they were all beating them with?
Yeah,
That was a strange twist.
that was a very, very strange twist. I mean, he's like the shadow side, though, of a lot of people if you think about a mob.
Yeah,
And I think that's why his story scares us so much because deep down, we know how easy it is to become emotionally absent,
and
especially
detached.
hurt,
Yeah,
right? When we've been hurt enough, if we choose not to process those emotions, yeah, we can become numb. And, you know, I think Michael Myers kind of warms us. He warns us of that numbness as its own kind of death. Because if you're
yeah.
living in that numbness, you are not living. You are existing, but you are definitely not living.
Right. And I mean, he's, like I said, he's not rage. He's not evil. He's nothing. He's
Yeah,
nothing. Just blank, emotionless,
yeah.
disconnected.
I mean, and if you think about it, when we watch horror movies, our body goes into hypnosis without even realizing it.
Hmm.
Our breathing slows, our focus narrows. We don't even think about the outside world, right? It fades and we're inside
Right.
the story. It's that same state that the mind goes into when you're in hypnosis, right on that line between awareness and surrender. And I think that's another thing that makes it feel so real. It's relatable. And we're already in the state because we're focusing so intently. I think a lot of times too in horror movies we're focusing so intently on who did it, who is the bad guy, which one is it, or where is Michael Myers going to walk out of?
Right.
Where is he going to show up at? What window is he staring through into your life, trying to show you what emotion you've pressed down and become numb to?
Because, I mean, really, disassociation is the psyche's last defense against
Yes,
overwhelm. And so when trauma cuts that deep, the mind sometimes it just numbs itself to survive. It looks calm on the surface, but that emptiness underneath, it destroys the
right.
connection. So
It
he's
does.
really
And if we look closely, horror really has kind of been a therapy for the collective. If
yes.
we project everything we're too polite or too scared to say onto the film, it's where we work out our shadows. It's
Yeah, it is.
a whole collective of people watching, thinking about what they would do, what they wouldn't do. Some people thinking about how they would get away from Michael Myers. So, how are you still trying to hide from that emotion you shoved down in there, right?
Right. Right. And then, then we go on to Leatherface. We have Leatherface in
Yes,
here too. He doesn't wear masks for fun. Well, he wears masks. He wears them because he doesn't know who he is without them. Because each
right.
one represents a role that was assigned by his family. The worker, the protector, the killer, and the puppet. He's
Right.
just like kind of a collage of people's expectations. It's and the tragedy isn't that he's violent. It's that he never got to choose who he wanted to be. So he's kind of what happens when family dysfunction
Yeah.
becomes a religion and when loyalty means losing yourself entirely.
I mean, Leatherface to
It's
me is like
another
one of those, yeah, it's the saddest character in horror, right?
right.
Because he doesn't have his own face, he doesn't have his own identity. He becomes whoever the mask allows him to be. And that right there is trauma in its purest form when someone grows up unsafe, maybe in chaos, under extreme control, maybe even just the invisible child, right? The subconscious learns one thing: adapt or die. And it learns to read the room, to shift the tone, to hide the emotions. It learns to wear whatever mask gets love and lets you get through the night. And Leatherface, like, he embodies that.
Yeah.
I don't even think he kills because he wants to. He kills because
No.
he doesn't know who he is without his family's madness and craziness.
Right. And
He's
that
literally,
was one crazy family.
it was. While the
It's like,
focus was on him, I mean, you look around at all the family and they're
yeah,
Looney Tunes. Yeah.
there's a little twisted, crazy, love is control and obedience is
Mhm.
survival. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he was a child that never got to be a child, too. He was
Right.
told who to be, how to sound, when to breathe.
Mhm.
And like those
And
masks, they were really roles forced upon him. Like the pretty woman mask was when
mhm.
he was forced to serve dinner. And then the
Right.
killer mask was when he was forced to protect. So he was, forced into that role, not really
Right.
something he wanted.
I mean, and haven't we all at some point, though, been hypnotized by survival? When
Hmm.
you think of like Leatherface, you can see the fawn response in many ways. The
Yes.
instinct to become whatever keeps the peace, to blend, to appease, to not make the waves. Um, you know, you see people who's been the caregiver all their lives to every single person around them. The one who says, I'm fine, through the brittle grit of their teeth and bleeding with all of the emotions. The one who learned early that love was conditional
Yes.
and silence was safety if they kept silent. So they built their own mask, the helper, the strong one, the one who never breaks. But, here's the thing: every mask is heavy. And
Yes.
eventually, your soul gets tired of holding it up. And Leatherface never got to rest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I can see in my own life where I put masks on.
Yeah,
Anybody that does something that they really don't want to do, but they're going to do it because if they don't, then, this person's going to be sad. Or that it's the people pleasing thing.
it
So
is.
he's ironically, this slasher was a
Right.
people pleaser in
Yeah,
his own form.
right.
And in another life, Leatherface would have been that quiet kid that sat in the back of the class, awkward, gentle even, and terrified
Yeah,
to speak. But in this one, his silence was his sentence, and he's
yeah. I mean, he was controlled, like puppeted by the very people that should have protected him.
right.
And when you live in a system that teaches you, whether it's parents, partners, or systems, that has taught you that your only worth is what you could provide. Could you provide what mask I told you to wear? And when you live like that, you forget there ever was a you underneath.
Right.
And in hypnosis, we help people remember. We guide them back to their original self, the one who existed before all the masks or even roles, the role of brother, mother, father, you know, uh, people, a lot of times when you ask them, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm a teacher or I'm a construction worker. No, no,
No, who are
that's a
you
role
really?
you wear. Yeah, who are you? And I think that's one thing that I love about hypnotherapy and I love about our retreat coming up because we uncover who you are, who you always were before the world piled everything on top of you and said you had to be all these things and you
And
lost
once you
yourself.
know who you are, once
Yeah,
you know and you discover yourself, everything in life is so much easier.
it
Because
is.
when you know who you are, you know what you want to do. You know
Hmm.
where you want to go. You know who you want to associate with.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
had a client
unfortunately,
say, yeah,
go ahead.
he didn't know. I had a client say once, I don't even know what I like. I just know what keeps everybody else happy. It's the
Hmm.
same. It's the same role. She's just not out murdering people. But that wasn't required of her from her family. But it's the same thing, getting lost in making sure that everyone else does, needs are met, happiness is thriving. But where are you? Who are you? We should never lose our identity within our relationships, but it's very easy to do.
Right.
That hypnotic mask is universal.
And I mean, you might even only wear your mask at work,
Yeah.
but you still have a mask. Everybody has
Yeah.
one.
And, when we work through trauma and hypnosis, we don't shame the mask. The masks are natural human design of something we do. We thank it. We thank
Mhm.
it and we tell it, you kept me alive. You kept me through the house of horrors, more or less, but I don't need you anymore. And when that happens, you can integrate that mask instead of fighting it. And that's when the nervous system calms and that subconscious just exhales because, that's when Leatherface puts down the chainsaw and realizes it was never about killing. It was about cutting loose from the lies
Mhm.
and all of the masks.
Because I mean, in his world, there was no room for authenticity because
Right.
his survival depended on compliance. And that's why people pleasers burn out
Yeah.
because they've been wearing those masks since childhood. And like you said, in therapy, we help clients take off those inherited faces and ask, who am I? And
Yeah.
who am I when I'm not performing?
Yes. Yes.
And then that brings us back to Frankenstein because I love Frankenstein. I know you like Michael Myers, but I have a
Yeah.
thing for Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster because the poor man never had a name.
No, but we call him Frankenstein instead of the
It's
actual
Frankenstein's monster.
scientist. Yeah.
He's he's really not a villain. He's more like a mirror. Um,
Yeah.
he was stitched together from scraps of, human remains and
Yeah.
honestly abandoned by his maker the very moment that he breathed. So his story starts with heartbreak.
Yeah.
He didn't want to destroy. He just wanted to belong. He's kind of like the unwanted child, even though he didn't have a childhood, but his childhood started in adulthood.
Right. I mean, and I think every human has like a Frankenstein dynamic inside. There's a part of us that builds our ambition, our control, our order, and there's a part of us that breaks our emotions, our messy humanity. And when the builder rejects the breaker, the monster is born. And the
Hmm.
monster doesn't go away. it wanders, it grieves, it lashes out. Um, you know, Victor Frankenstein represents the intellect, the perfectionist, the ego trying to control.
Yeah.
And I think on different levels, we can all relate to that in some way. I mean, how many of us were created in homes where we had to earn affection?
Right.
How many of us tried to be perfect only to be met with criticism?
Too many. And, this
Yeah.
is, it's like when love is withdrawn. So, like, love is withdrawn after his creation, and his psyche internalized rejection as his identity. And that's like kind of like we call conditional existence. It's where you believe that you only deserve love if you're perfect, if you're useful, if you're pleasing, if you're everything that they want you to be. But when that illusion
Yeah.
breaks, what comes out really isn't evil, it's grief. It's finally finding a voice.
Right. It's like that split self, that part that feels unworthy of love. Like when you hear
Mhm.
someone say, I ruin everything I touch, that's Frankenstein's monster speaking through them because that's
Yeah,
not true. It's a persona that covers up all of that deep pain and rejection that they felt. And the thing is you can't destroy the monster inside of you. You have to hold it. You have to say, I see you. I know you were born out of pain, but you don't have to keep running.
right. I mean, imagine he didn't ask to exist. He didn't ask to
Right.
be brought into the world. So,
Integration.
can you imagine being born fully grown? Like, your mind's not there.
Yeah.
You're just awakening, and your first breath, and people are screaming, and that's your first memory. Your very first memory being rejection.
Right.
So he learned, identity as being feared, and rejection, and every time he tried to reach for compassion, he was met with fire and pitchforks, and
Right.
so he just became the very thing that they accused him of being. And it's not that he's evil. It was a reaction, the production of, you know, the product of creation without care.
Yeah.
So it's a birth without belonging.
And I mean, if we think about it, in a way, Frankenstein's laboratory is a perfect metaphor for the subconscious. It's where we reanimate what's been buried.
Yes.
It's where we keep reanimating it. And, in hypnotherapy, that flash of awareness that brings something dead back to life, but in a healing way, of course. We feel the emotion, we witness the moment differently, and we integrate it. That's the resurrection. And yes, of course, it can be messy. Sometimes people cry, sometimes people feel the anger that they didn't even know they had. But that's the monster saying, thank you for finally listening to me. Because Frankenstein craved love and craved emotional
He
connection.
wanted love.
Yeah,
And, you know, he's kind of like that orphaned part of us all. The one who
yeah.
says, if even my creator couldn't love me, then who could?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has, so like he's kind of like a lesson to us that to create life is to take responsibility for it, and to reject what we create, and that's in others or in ourselves, because we create things in ourselves as well. If we reject it, then that kind of makes it monstrous. So we don't want to reject things about ourselves.
Right.
We have to learn to appreciate everything about ourselves. Like my big nose. I like it. Fits my face. If I didn't like it,
Right.
I would think it was monstrous.
It's giving empathy to yourself. It's
Self-acceptance.
compassion for yourself. Yeah. And once it hits your heart, you don't go back, you evolve.
Hmm.
You evolve into who you're meant to be. I mean, and if we think about when Frankenstein does ask for a companion, and, Victor refuses for a long time to allow that to happen. And you have to wonder, why? What was he scared of? What was he scared of allowing him to love something else that was
Right.
similar to himself? What are we scared of loving all the parts of us?
Right. Finally, though, he did create another monster, if we want to call
Yeah.
them monsters. Creations. We'll make them creations. But so, same way, she wasn't born, she was assembled. And this time, it was two men. One was desperate for power, and the other was desperate for companionship. And so when Victor sewed her together, the spark that woke her came from something different.
Yeah.
And when her eyes opened, she didn't see wonder, but she saw ownership. It was a man calling her mine and a creator calling her his masterpiece.
Right.
And she faced all of the same things that Frankenstein's monster faced. Only
Yeah.
she was also owned, in a sense.
Yes.
She wasn't created to be her own creation. She was created to be somebody else's comfort, somebody else's.
Specifically for someone else. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the reason that all three of these stories can scare us is because deep down we know how easy it is to become emotionally absent
Right.
when we've been hurt enough. We know what
And
it's
we've
like to build
all
those walls so high that not even light comes in.
and we've all
And
felt that rejection at some point. We've
right,
all been
rejection.
Frankenstein's
Yeah,
monster. Yeah.
right. Rejection from other people, rejection within ourselves. And maybe the message of all these monsters is Leatherface teaches us survival can become identity. And Frankenstein's monster reminds us that rejection can breed rage. And Michael Myers warns us that numbness is its own kind of death.
Hmm.
It's its own kind of death. So, next time you're watching a movie, see who you're identifying with. Are you identifying with the victor, or the victim, not the victor, the victim, or with the monster or the murderer? And what is your subconscious trying to tell you by having you latch on to the character? Because I promise the subconscious is telling you something.
And so, all of these characters, they really orbit the same sun. It's the need to be seen for who they are. And they say that monsters wear masks so we can't see them, but maybe they wear them because we wouldn't look if they didn't. Like
Yeah.
Michael taught us that emptiness can be louder than a scream. He's the boy who was never held long enough to know that he was real, so he learned to disappear inside silence until that silence learned to kill. And Leatherface showed us what happens when a family devours its own. He's the child who never got to choose his face. He wore other people's expectations until his own skin stopped fitting. And every mask, every role is a cage. And then Frankenstein and the bride, they were, Frankenstein was his creature was the forsaken son and, born into rejection. And the bride, she was never meant to be free, only useful.
Right. Right. I mean, we're all walking around in haunted houses carrying echoes of the things we survived. But the haunting ends when we turn on the light and when we say, I see you. The subconscious is not your enemy. It's trying to protect you, it's trying to show you things, right? And if you think about it, every horror movie ends that way. Someone faces the very thing they've been avoiding and looks it in the eye and says, no more. And that's empowerment. That's hypnotherapy. It's not about erasing the fear, it's about reclaiming the choice.
Right. And, it's because the monster behind the mask was never hurt. It was never hunting you. It was just waiting for you to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the real twist ending. You were never the victim. You were never the villain. You were the healer
Right.
the whole time.
The
And
whole
that's how
time.
we flip that script, is looking
Exactly.
at it, reframing it in a different way.
And that, my friends, is the mask and the monster. Maybe the real horror isn't what hides behind the mask, but how long we've been afraid to take it off.
Yes. Sometimes what we think is the monster is just the part of us that got tired of pretending. So if this episode stirred something up, good. That means you're alive, baby. You're feeling.
And that's the whole point of this journey. We don't run from the monsters. We meet them. Because when you face them with compassion, they stop chasing you.
Now, before we go back into the daylight, y'all know what to do. Like, share, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening. It helps more people find this work, and it keeps our little family of consciousness growing.
And if you're craving more, we've got plenty cooking. Every morning, we go live with our Flip Fam morning meditations. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. To ground, rise, and prime your energy for the day.
Then on Sunday nights, when the world quiets down, we open the portal and you can join us for the hypnotic imagery journey. That's 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central, where we'll guide you deep into those dream realms we've been talking about.
And speaking of dream realms, mark your calendars because on Devil's Night, October 30th, we're holding a special event, the Dream Corridor. It's a one-night only hypnotic imagery journey where you'll face your fears and turn them into fire. So bring your courage, your candle, and your curiosity. You won't want to miss it.
And while you're writing down dates, don't forget about our She Reigns Now retreat coming up in March. It's going to be transformational, connection, empowerment, healing, and a lot of newfound sisterhood.
Yes. Rise, soar, and conquer. That's the energy we're carrying into this new year. So stay tuned, stay brave, and keep facing those shadows because every monster you meet is really just another piece of your power waiting to come home.
We love you, Flip Fam.
Until next time, keep flipping that script.